sure the mic is right. Perfect. Okay. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. Welcome to the Court of Connection.
Hi.
I have my good friend DM here today.
So excited.
Yeah, this is so full circle.
Yeah,
DM
really
created my logo, and I'm so in love with it.
Oh,
you
cool.
know, and
I'm
the
glad you
questions
like it.
that you asked me, right? Like name 5 things that kind of encompass what the vision is. And then you pulled this beautiful thing together, you know, that was just so on point. So
cool. I'm glad you like it. I felt like it served you pretty well. It's not too flighty. It's you know, it's good. I like it. Yeah. One of the thing about that stuff is that like sometimes, you know, you come with some ideas. I'm always like, yeah, we'll see, you know, like, but you were gracious enough to let me just like trust me to do the thing, and that's cool. And always I have that opportunity, and that one just spoke to me, and I had some other ones. But yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Put this on Do Not Disturb before I forget. You can keep that in there. Okay. So, you know, what I love about you, DM, is you have this like eclectic style about you. You know, the first time I met you, I was like, wait a minute, who's this guy? He just like, he is who he is. You have such a funky style. You get your nails done. You're just
a little lame right now, but I got to get them done again. Yeah.
You are who you are. Like, have you always been that way, or did you kind of step into that?
That's really interesting. Man, when I was like, I got to bring this all back to my mom, really. Like, my mom let me express myself pretty young. Yeah. I remember being in like 2nd grade, and I had this like pink striped shirt that I really loved. And it was pink, and it was a little bit like weird because it was pink. And I grew up around women, like 2 sisters, and I'm like a creative guy, like from the very beginning. I've always been kind of just like expressive and creative. And early on, my mom kind of saw that. My mom, and I never gave her credit until only, you know, throughout the amends process. But like, she saw this like curious, creative spirit, and she fostered that. So she would like take me shopping, and like, man, I remember like in the 80s, I was in like parachute pants, and like I was wearing like really baggy stuff, and like kids weren't doing that. And my mom would like allow me to express myself. And, you know, it didn't make me completely comfortable. I wasn't in my skin and that stuff yet. But I eventually the creative stuff would come to be what I would get involved in. And I had some mentors in that part of my life that encouraged this idea of, you know, I'm a graphic designer, but they encouraged like this idea of what a designer is. And so kind of like a lifestyle thing. And I started to like ponder and think about that stuff. And so the style, the expressiveness, it's come out in various ways. A lot of it's been in my personality, I think, in the way I like talk to people and just some of my wacky ideas and stuff. And some of it's like caused harm, you know, to be honest.
We can get into that, yeah.
Yeah, we will probably. But I think it happened in my last relationship. She was really, when did it happen? It happened around this identity as a designer. It really did. It started with one of my teachers. His name's Michael Eden Kay. He's like unbelievable designer, really amazing. He's created like some of the most amazing book jackets, some legendary, iconic book jackets from like 2000s on. And he went on to kind of like be the creative director at this company that I'm you know, and I was kind of involved in. And I never worked for him, but he was my teacher in school. And one of the things he left us with was to just like, you know, like think about it before you leave the house. You'd always like say that. And I was like, oh, what does that have to do with like me being like a successful designer? And like, it kind of like stuck in me that it's more of the designer is everything. So it's like this idea that it's not just a trade, you know. And I thought I was going to school to learn a trade, and my dad always told me to have a trade, but it becomes like this creative being. And in some ways, like, so it started to mess with me. So like when I poor design, I started to notice it because he would teach us this stuff. And like, I'd show up to a push door with a pull handle on it. I'd be like, why is that like that? And eventually like these things just started to bother me more, but I would just simply express myself until I could afford to kind of go into it a little bit. And part of it's like I bought an apartment in 2005 and I gutted it and I renovated it and got to design it. So that's part of it. My lifestyle was in design.
And this is in New York.
This is in New York City. Yeah, really cool spot. It was like legendary spot. I wish I still had it, but you know, we made some decisions based on self. So, you know, but it was this really cool little spot. It was my spot, and I literally gutted it. I designed it. I went under the table and hired the architects and stuff. So it became kind of like my place. And I then got into a relationship with an amazing woman. Her name's Akiko, and she worked for Michael, my old mentor, and I kind of got reassociated with this stuff. And she was very into nice things, but with good taste. She had very good taste, some of the most impeccable taste. And I was like, why is this chick with me? I'm just like this goofy guy with glasses and a fedora on. But I had a bad thing going for a while. Yeah, I don't want to even show you those photos. But I used to wear glasses, and I was trying to find that. And she would introduce me to stuff, and it started with her. It really did. It started with her. To like, the designer thing was a big part of it. Michael was a big part of it. She worked for Michael. And then she kind of brought this thing. She's Japanese, so she introduced me to this Japanese thing. And then she like would take me. And I went to Japan in 2006, and I was like, "What is this place?
Yeah.
Holy shit, this place is so cool!" And back then, before the internet and phones and stuff, it was like it was a different place. You know, like I was discovering things, and I was there with friends that had been there a bunch. And so throughout this thing, I'm in New York, and I'm hanging out with these artists, and I'm in the graphic design world. And I was in New York in a very impactful time, from 99 to 2022. And in the early aughts, like graffiti was becoming commercialized. It was like this whole creative thing was happening. I was very involved in the middle of it, but all my friends were these like artists that were like doing art. I was a graphic designer at work. So I never considered myself an artist. I never felt like I could own that title. I was like, no, I do graphic design for a living. I'm not an artist. I would then have a silkscreen studio and eventually kind of make stuff with that, but I would never call it art. I just did design. And Akiko kind of like really introduced me to this idea of like looking at clothing differently. And she introduced me to my friend Lydia Rodriguez, who's this amazing. I'm still like really close to this day. This is from Lydia, actually, this piece that I'm wearing right now.
I feel like I've asked you at certain moments, like, where did you get that? And you're like, you
LRC.
mentioned her. Yeah.
Yeah, Lydia worked at this company. Is this okay to tell you this little rant? Okay.
Yeah.
Lydia worked at this company called Project 8. It was like a boutique store in the Lower East Side in my neighborhood. I lived on Ludlow and Hester Street in the Lower East Side, Manhattan. This is like, if you go there now, it's like the center of Manhattan. It's like where everyone goes. It's like the neighborhood. And when I bought the place, I just knew it was going to be that. It was in Chinatown, Lower East Side. It hadn't blown up yet. My street T-boned into like this like cool little square, like kind of like they call it Dime Square now, but because of this restaurant that's there. But in this little like small like weird retail space was this place Project 8, and they were up the street. And Akiko and I would go in there, and I met Lydia there, and she worked there, and she was just like this really cool, expressive woman. She just had like a really cool style about her, and she was like really nice. And I got into a couple pieces. You know, I got a coat, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I kind of like this, you know. I started to get into it a little bit more, and Akiko just started to open my eyes to all these things like Miyake and all these brands that I really like now. But not all of it was just for her to like. She knew I was creative. She loved that about me. And this is in a time where I didn't really believe that I was really anything. You know, I was just trying to find myself and stuff. So she was a big part of it. And then I would move to Japan for a little bit and live with her while she was living there, because she moved there to open the Vice office and did a bunch of stuff there. And so I'd stay in Japan, and I was influenced by like this Japanese thing and these designers, and I'm doing design. I'm very into design, and my tastes are a little bit, they're starting to develop, and I'm a pretty snobby designer. I come from a teacher that's like, really, it matters.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's kind of similar to the teachers I have in my recovery life. Same thing. I surround myself with killers. That's one of my like philosophies. And that's what I did. And I came up in this world in New York City and around these individuals and being expressive. And I just kind of like started to find it. until about like, and I did the corporate jobs for a while, and until about like, I don't know, over the course of meeting Lydia and dropping in a little bit here and there and finding a little bit of my own thing. And about like 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, I started to like kind of take it a lot more serious. Kiko and I aren't together anymore, and I'm in this other relationship, and she was very interested in this like design, and I was teaching her about design and like why it matters, and she was into clothing, but she didn't really know anything about it, and we were like discovering it together. And so I
That's so
started to
cool.
express myself, and I started to get really into it. And I'm not gonna lie, there's some drugs involved that might have had
Sure.
something to do with the wildness of it all.
Sure.
And there just a lot of just it came real hard when it came to this idea that I need to find myself individual. I need to like I got on this tip, and I've struggled with that in recovery, which is this like pure unique individual, your unique soul, your unique self. I was like really into that. There's some drugs involved that help
Yeah.
help extend that and magnify that. But like generally speaking, it was just this thing, and I think back on the whole thing, I've kind of gone on a tangent, but it has to do with my mom.
Yeah.
There's this like it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
It's okay to express yourself that way, and it's like I stopped apologizing for it, and I just started to just do it. Started painting my nails and doing all that stuff.
That's
So,
so beautiful. And
yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I feel like we live in a world where, the generations before us were very rigid, we're pretty narrow minded, and we're afraid of that kind of stuff, I think. Not everyone, but a lot of people. Right. And so, in my first episode, I talked about this, what would your life have been if you had a place of women who really
That was powerful.
allowed you to express yourself fully and weren't afraid of that, and what a beautiful representation of a woman who was like, not afraid to let her son just express himself fully.
Yeah,
Like,
it's wild when I think of her.
Yeah.
Like because I blamed her for all this stuff my whole life.
yeah,
And I carried this sack of rocks around about my mom for 35
sure.
years.
Yeah.
Hard,
yeah.
like this is the truth.
Mhm.
And in the process of amends, it totally like melted. But I was comfortable with the self-expression stuff before that. Also, just like the fringe and being unique and different, and we find ourselves in that place a lot. But I was never afraid of it, and I'm very comfortable, and even my own sexuality and all that stuff. It doesn't never really had any weird things about that. It's just kind of that way, and I think it has a lot to do with. To be totally honest with you, I grew up around just powerful women. I mean, that's it. My sisters are just powerful. They're like badasses. My younger sister's like, I idolized her. Like growing up, she's just got this. She's so smart. She's got this thing. And my older sister, although I didn't know it at the time, we didn't always connect. She's super creative. And then my mom is just like polio survivor. Like, I brought you in, I'll take you out. But just badass. And so I grew up around this like expressive feminine energy. And there's a certain point in New York when I was there, I was just like, stop giving a fuck what anyone else thought about how I looked and what I dressed like and what it meant. Like, and so I say it now. I post it when I put an outfit. I'm going, express yourself. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with like you finding that. This is a woman's shirt. Like, I don't give a fuck.
I love it though. Like, I love that about you.
Yeah.
And I think we, I think a lot of men struggle with tapping into the feminine.
Yeah.
Because here we're all made of equal parts of masculine and feminine energy.
Right.
But there's so much wounded masculine and wounded feminine within us.
Yeah.
And I think, so it's really cool that you're kind of really tapped into that and able to like hold safe space for women and like create that kind of like intimacy and like intuitive nature, right? But like the wounded masculine, right, is this part in us that is work, go,
Yeah.
and how learning how to balance the two is such an art form.
Yeah. It's very difficult.
But it's how we come in union, like full divine union within ourselves. So
yeah, and I had that. My father was that. He was just like work all the time. He's gonna die at his desk. And I hope that's not the case.
Sure.
I really do. But like the trajectory that I've always seen him on is just like 1 more minute, you know, I'm grinding, and
Yeah.
he's a great dude, awesome guy, like sacrificed so much for us,
Mhm.
right? Growing up, and like he was always, and I always saw him as someone that like didn't do stuff for himself so he could do it for us. It's kind of how I always looked at him. Like he worked so hard all the time, still does, but it was all about I have to do. It was all about this. Like he's a very masculine guy, traditional
Yeah.
kind of guy, not real in touch with expressing his feelings.
Mhm.
Although he's a spiritual guy, so like
Mhm.
when we start talking about that stuff, then we can
Mhm.
get down to some nuts and bolts. But he's sensitive around like bringing. He doesn't want to step on toes. You know, he's
Yeah.
kind of like he's careful. My mom was the more powerful in that whole thing. But yeah, it's true. My dad was that. My mom and sisters were the other thing, and I might have watched a little bit more of the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you're my brother in recovery,
Yeah.
right?
Very
And
much.
you know, I just feel I've always felt very connected to
Right on.
you
Same.
and I feel like our relationship is evolving a little bit and I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
But
me too.
you know, so tell us what your life has been like lately. Like what has the journey been like for you?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, I've been sober before,
Mhm.
right? And I didn't know I didn't know that this was what it was about.
Yeah.
And so like I think about that a lot where when I share my story, I have to talk about that.
Mhm.
And so like I had 17 years without a drink or a drug in me, and I was miserable.
Mhm.
Absolutely miserable. I had everything I could possibly want. Both these relationships that I speak of were amazing. They
Mhm.
weren't enough.
Yeah.
Couldn't fix it, and like it's this internal thing. I'm not right. And untreated alcoholism is gnarly.
Mhm.
In fact, I don't have a problem with drinking and drugging until
Yeah.
it affects me physically or I can't keep the job.
Right.
I have a problem with being sober, not
Mhm.
staying sober. I can put days together.
Yeah.
I've done it 17 years, like just just like
White knuckle,
just,
yeah.
yeah. And I had the program in me for a little while, and it was
Mhm.
really exciting at 17, where like your life's ahead of you,
Yeah.
go be anything you want to be, and this is how you can do it. I had a needle in my arm 5 times a day,
Mhm.
at 17 years old, shooting methamphetamine in like Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
In the 93, that like, wasn't like it is now with kids. It's
Right.
just like where I went to high school, that wasn't what was going on. And I just found myself in a group. But anyway, the point of that is I got sober and I stayed sober for a long period of time. And I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't happy. I was constantly in fear. Just the bedevilments are all over me. Having trouble with personal relationships. If we're gonna talk about it, it's there. Like
Mhm.
just complete spiritual malady, and atheist is hardcore because after 9/11 I was like, no way, I'm not doing that, because I was down there and there's a bunch of stuff I carried around that. But like I got sober and boom, 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 and then I threw it away again.
Mhm.
And I had to go through what I went through to find myself even in Austin, Texas, of all places, because it's the last place on earth I wanted to go. Texas, America was the last place I wanted to go. I'm New York City. I was going to live there and die there. And what happened is I just was dying, I was fucking dying. And I'm sitting with a rope tied around my neck in my bathroom, wondering if I'm just going to do this or go on to the bitter end. I had kind of like interrupted. It wasn't an attempt. I was just in contemplation, in self-pity, and um I got interrupted, and I don't, for some reason I just decided I wanted to do it. The thing about what I was doing before I came in, hated myself so much that I was trying to rewire myself. So I was dropping into all these like hallucinogens and ketamine and all the things that like people MDMA, and I was really rewiring this mindset. And part of that acid and all that stuff, again, I've been doing that since I was 16. Part of this self-expression and this individual started to boil to the surface, this like uniqueness and this like I can be something, right? But I was killing myself. So that had to change.
Yeah.
And so I come out here to get clean, and then some, I got the things. I got a little space between drugs and alcohol again, just like when I was 17. And I lived with my sister for a while in Dallas, which was absolutely brutal. Awesome living with her and her boys, because I love her boys. And I was called to be in Texas because my mom's getting older, and I was just here. I'm like, okay, I'm here. But I knew like Austin was probably like a place for me. If I could get my career going here or whatever. And that's what I did. I moved out here for that. And that didn't work out, you know, because I
Mhm.
ran my life on self-will, and I was running around with my head cut off basically at like a year sober, thinking I like had arrived and stuff, right? I had to go through some really hard lessons. You know, I learned a really hard lesson there. I was
Mhm.
terminated from my job. That was brutal to
Mhm.
face because I was just like, wait, like that's not what I'm doing. Wait,
That wasn't the plan.
that wasn't the plan here. I'm away. I go to 7 meetings a week.
Mhm.
Like, what?
Why would this happen to me?
What?
Yeah.
I'm living on a new basis. But if I look at, yeah, why would this happen to me? That's not what my intention was.
Yeah.
No, that I didn't. No, it's the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. Like, I couldn't tell my side, and I felt the victim, and what we do, right?
Mhm.
And I had to really get locked in and sit down with some guys that like knew what my trouble was, which was
Mhm.
I'm selfish and self-centered at my core. But it's still there's this little thing in me that's like, I bump up against that constantly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like that whole thing about my expression and my uniqueness and my true self.
Well, I want to say
Like,
something about that.
yeah,
So, because I actually do believe that we're a firm believer that we are all unique expressions of the Creator, right? Meaning,
right.
we all, like God made us all uniquely different in our expression because He wanted to experience life from all angles, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Interesting.
DM, I want DM
That's
to be this.
interesting.
What is it going to be like to be a man who's like totally comfortable with his sexuality and expresses himself this way, and the Creator's experiencing you through you, that all of that, right? What I think that it gets lost in translation around the uniqueness is that the perpetual, you don't understand how I feel,
Yeah.
right? It's the emotions, right?
Yeah.
The malady is the way that the malady leaves us feeling is all the same, right?
Right.
Loneliness, disconnected, sense of lack,
Yeah.
a loss of control, right?
Exactly.
That's the part that is not unique,
Right.
right? But I
Yeah.
think a lot of us get caught in this delusion that, like, no, we are unique divine
Yeah.
expressions,
Yeah. And I've come to accept that
Yeah,
in a new way, but I had to wake up to accept it.
totally.
To some hard truth,
Totally.
that like maybe this live wire that I am needs to sit down a little bit and listen more. And like,
Yeah.
maybe these guys actually have something to teach me.
Mhm.
And that's really what happened. It's like I got with a guy I didn't really like that
Mhm.
much. I liked him. I liked what he said and stuff, but I didn't like how he talked to me.
Yeah.
At all. Like at all, dude. When he brought me stuff, it was like, bro.
Mhm.
And I would like 10 step about it, not to him,
Of
but
course.
and like, but I've come to love this part because he's taught me through that pain of not liking it. He's
Mhm.
taught me to accept that maybe it's okay to like listen. Like maybe you should a direction about pausing before, when
Mhm.
doubtful or not. I'm always doubtful, so I
Mhm.
should be pausing a lot more. Listen more.
Mhm.
Ask more questions than you want to. Stop story stealing.
Mm.
Like all of a sudden I'm in this like getting taught, but I'm
Mhm.
not the way I thought. It never
Yeah.
is.
Sure.
Right. And so in the last 18 months, that's about what I'm up to now. Like I've just like I had some space between like working full time. I'm still freelancing and doing that stuff with my design, and I'm trying to find what is next. I have some things working that are
Mhm.
really exciting, but I haven't gone back into the workforce, or
Mhm.
into the corporate agency thing where I'm like
Mhm.
the director, kind of like working with the team and doing the
Mhm.
thing. I've just been kind of like, I think really I've been having a lot of time to work with guys.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what I see in them is what he saw in me,
Mhm.
like real live wires, like
Yeah.
just like it's like
Mhm.
extreme examples of self-will run riot,
Yeah.
right? And I get the gift of watching them and going, oh God, and I almost want to like call Steven and be like sorry, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, like, because I kind of get it
Mhm.
more than I have. And so lately I've what's up with me lately is
And wait, to back
yeah,
it up, are you
yeah.
referring to like watching these men kind of flail around and having to really allow that process to happen?
Watching me and them
Yeah.
18 months ago.
Yeah.
I just talked to a guy this morning, and it's just like, bro, like I just want to put this on the table. This type of energy is exactly what got me terminated, and I
Mhm.
didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And like this is, you were still asleep. My
Yeah.
whole point is to get you unblocked so you
Mhm.
can get power in your life and be awake to something that you don't know yet. And I don't
Mhm.
know yet because I'm experiencing it for the first time now
Yeah. Yeah.
with you, sir. You know,
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
whole thing. And I think it really has come down to just like, he's put all these men in my life. I've had to go through the work over and over and over and over and over again with
Mhm.
them because that's what you do,
Mhm.
right? And really dive into what it's all about. And through that process, I've get to form my own identity in it,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is really important because that's part of this whole thing.
Mhm.
That like I am not him.
Mhm.
So I try to bring my current, my experience. He told me something real early on that always stuck with me. And he said, never lie to a drunk.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, we don't lie to people. That's not, he's like, that's not what it means. He's like, never talk to people from the position that you're not in it, that you're not in.
Mhm.
And I kind of think about that conceptually, like, I'm not trying to be what he is to me, to my guys,
Mhm.
right? I'm trying to have an experience with them that's unique to our connection and let that open and evolve.
Yeah.
Some of my teachings and some of the ways I bring him truth is coming from it.
Mhm.
100%. He's a great teacher.
Yeah.
But what I'm discovering is that like what's developing for me at 3 years sober, which is baby time, really. Like when we do the math, 10, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the 3 is like insane. Most of us
But
are,
it is a long time,
yeah.
you know.
Oh
So
no,
don't
I'm not
discredit it.
discrediting
But
that.
yes, I get
Trust
it.
me, I couldn't put 2 days, and so what I'm discovering is this like being okay with being okay. Just
Mhm.
kind of like I'm I'm gonna have my experience
Mhm.
and I'm gonna step on some glass and I'm gonna walk these men through this stuff and be a part of their life, but not in this way that isn't unique to me.
Mhm.
That
Right.
isn't DM bring,
Mhm.
and God in my life and the things that are making me this way.
Right.
Yeah. So it kind of, and I bump up sometimes with this stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like my, I'll give you an example. My sponsor won't use my nickname.
Mhm.
He thinks it's an expression of self and my ego and stuff like that. And I respect that. I'm fine. He wants to call me by my real name, David. It's fine. And I actually like it. It feels like endearing. And I like have a personal thing with him. But it is that whole, I bump up on that sometimes. Or I bump up on like, am I allowed to find me through this process? Because and through that process is, and finding me really is like, what is that?
Yeah.
And that's like getting connected to something I've never been connected to, being okay with things when like that I wouldn't have never been okay with before, being more calm and quiet. Like I'm finding me, and it's like wild.
Well, I want to back it up a little bit because one thing that you said was going through that experience of losing your dream job, right?
Right.
And having moved your life to Austin mostly for this job. Yes, family was there, but that was like a big motivating factor too. And then losing it, right? And it's that why me? Why? Like I'm working so hard. I'm sober now. I'm this. I'm that. And I remember having that moment when I was about a year sober, and my eating disorder stuff came up really hard. And I remember feeling so fucking angry and just being like, why?
Yeah.
And so really what I want to mirror back to you in this moment is that now being on the other side of this, like that gift has given me the ability to help so many women who struggle with body image, who struggle with an eating disorder, because when we get sober, like all of this shit, like ways that we can control, right, come up, whether that's shopping, whether that's your body, whether that's, relationships, sex, whatever. And so it got to move to this place of so much gratitude to be able to guide these women who feel so lost, so afraid, so angry that this is happening for them. And that is going to be your experience very shortly. By the way, we pulled some tarot cards in the beginning and DM, of course, pulled the death and rebirth because that's where you're at, right?
It is 100%.
It's this losing this identity of like, this is who DM is. He's a successful designer. He's this, he's that, right? And to me, sitting across from you, it feels like this deep call of God saying, but what if that's not who you are? No. What if there's something so much more that's going to bring you so much more than you could ever wrap your head around?
No, and I totally I agree. And
Mhm.
it's something that I've had to, it's scary,
It's
it's like
scary
a
as
lot of
hell.
fear in that, right? Because what am I gonna do then? It's like, this is who I am, and I'm really good at it. And yeah, the thing about the job is that like I wouldn't be here talking about this stuff or feeling the way I do or awake like I am if that didn't happen. I'm
Mhm.
sure of it.
Yeah.
I needed it to happen. I'm bummed it happened. I'm
Mhm.
bummed I harmed people in doing it. Like, it had to be shitty for their business. They would tell their clients that like this guy's just like, I was a big part. Like, I felt like a big part of that place.
Yeah.
I was like really into it, and I really liked it. It was a really cool place to work.
Yeah.
And they're really great people. They're
Mhm.
really great people.
Yeah.
So that was even more painful. And I loved my bosses. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so to have like caused harm to
Mm.
them, and there's an amends there, obviously,
Mhm.
but like just to come out the other side and be like, I actually needed to do it because like I thought that was what I came here to do,
Mhm.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely know creativity is a part of my thing.
Oh, 100%.
It's just who I am, and and I do some expressions of that outside of the corporate stuff, which with the sewing machine, which is the wildest experience I've ever had. With like first time in my life doing that, I'm like, oh, this is what art is. Like, it's just like free, just do it, and there's no questions, answers. I don't care if it's right or wrong. Like,
Yeah.
the wildest thing I had that when I had that awakening when I was like a couple years before I came in. But yeah, man, it literally is a rebirth, and I have some exciting things that I want to do with my creativity, but it also brings in some of the recovery stuff or some of the new life stuff.
Yeah.
It's not all recovery, but just like new beginnings and stuff like that. And I'm really excited about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also in a lot of fear
Of
too
course.
around like, well, what
Yeah.
does this
What
mean?
is that going to look
You
like?
know? Yeah,
Well,
so.
because I think so many of us feel like we're so afraid that the universe or creator, God, whatever you want to call it, right? That if I really step into this unknown, that I'm not actually going to be taken care of, right? There's this sense of like, it's like I can conceptually, I understand, like, yes, I've always been taken care of, blah, 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 blah. When you're sitting in that level of fear of the unknown, it's like, but wait, am I
Oh
going to be
no.
taken care of?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to be okay?
It's so funny because I have these moments more than I ever have that I am safe and protected. I am okay no matter what.
Yeah.
But they come in when I'm not.
Totally.
And that when that happens, it's dark. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what should I do? What's the answer then?
Yeah.
And it goes back to like the bathroom stuff. It's like, that's not the answer.
Well, what are the feelings and emotions that come up in those dark moments? And like, how do you navigate that?
It's a lot of self-pity. So I start there because and I write it down. We're going to write some inventory, right? But I have to call somebody. I do the stuff, I'm disturbed. Call somebody. It's usually Luis Vivo. Usually, he's become one of my like.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing how that came apart.
Yeah.
How that came up together. It's usually that, and I deal with it with the tools. I there's still something that I'm holding on to. That there's a bit lately that I've been like, okay, finally, I'm going to release this. But when I'm in the fear, I have to use the tools.
Yeah.
That's just it. Like,
well, and I love that you say like there's this thing that I keep coming back to, because I do feel like surrender isn't just a moment.
no.
It's like it's a series of surrenders, sometimes around one thing.
Yeah.
Like I just went through this experience where I kept like letting go of something, and then it would creep back in, and then my whole system would fire up, and I was like, but wait. And it's like, no, like, remember, we're letting this go. Like, we're surrendering this thing. And then, a month later it would creep back up and in a different, dressed as something different. I'm like, wait, and
yeah, no.
and it looks like that,
Yeah,
it's not this great surrender.
It's definitely not. Thanks for taking this from me. I'm good to go. I've written 4 inventories on all of this stuff, and I've had different teachers take me through it and learn different things.
Yeah.
I think really what it boils down to is like, what does it look like to grow up?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't look my age and all that. And I'm not trying to be that, but it just, what is it? That's what I, I was sitting down with a friend of ours, went to her house and read her some stuff, and that's what came out of it. She's like, what does it look like to like fully grow up? Just like, and doesn't mean you have to change, like, but what is it? What is like, what does that look like? And I think that's part of that, like really just like, okay, letting go of some of these old ideals, old ideas and old belief systems about who I am and who I need to be, what we talked about a little bit earlier, which is just like this guy that works at this place and has these awards and whatever.
Well, what does your mind say when you're like, okay, I'm gonna grow up? Like, what is the underlying like?
I think it's like, to me, it's like, be okay with just being where you are. Like, that's wild to me to say that out loud. Like, even saying that out loud is like, really? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, just being okay, like, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. And then also, like, look, these guys, I got guys calling me like that could use some of the stuff that you've bumped into to help them in what they're going through. And it's like, okay, what does it mean to be a teacher? Like, not the teacher that I am at work, which is like trying to help them help me.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm just like, what's service look like? Like, what's humility look like? What's, that's it. Like, maturing on a level of like, I think humility is probably the one thing that I could use the most of.
Well, and you brought up a good point, right? Like, I think we're all programmed to think that there's this place that we arrive to, right? Where it's like, once I have all these things, I'll be okay, right?
Yeah.
And the truth is that we actually do have everything that we need sitting across from me right now in this moment, literally everything that I need.
Yeah.
My life doesn't need to change for me to experience joy, love, peace, gratitude, all of those things, right?
It's so funny you say that, because I have all of the things.
Yes.
I'm thinking back on like 5 years ago in the bucket list of things I want. I have them. But
right. But there's a disturbance.
Yeah,
here.
but what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, it never really like, and I'm like that. I build systems. I think of things. I think of ideas. I create them, and I can put it all together. And whether that's like music instrument stuff or design stuff or whatever, my house, whatever, like outfits, whatever.
Yeah.
And the car, all of it. It's just this whole this built plan, and it doesn't deliver what I think it's going to deliver. And we hear this a lot. It's pretty cliche in a way, like,
sure,
but
you get the car, it feels great for a minute.
Yeah.
You get the partner, it feels great for a minute. You get the, job.
And it's like, who at the core, like, just be. What is that?
Yeah.
And like, be okay with it. Maybe not looking like you thought it was going to look. I think that's the hardest thing.
Totally.
From a status point of view, maybe, or like making a certain amount of money, because I've done decently well in that part of my life. And now I'm like, it's like, look at the last year. It's like, hasn't really manifested. Some stuff from my other employer that a little bit about, but like, yeah, just like, what's growing up? I guess it's just like, can you just be? Allow you to be like where you are right here, right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. And then I think what I'm really going through, and that card that we pulled is like an exact. It's so funny. Every time I've had tarot, I'm like, whatever on this stuff. This process is weird. Whatever. And I get the card. It's like,
hits you in the face with truth, and you're like, damn, how did you know?
Yeah. And if I look back on those things, I'm like, wow, that's exactly what was going on in my life. Like I had a card come out the same twice. I told you that. And it was like a gnarly card.
Yeah,
like,
swords are never fun to look at.
Upside down, 7 of swords. Look it up. It's just like, he is to be stayed away from at all costs. I've
actually pulled 7 of swords upright a few times lately. So, yeah.
It came out in I don't know how the design of like how the system works.
There's different spreads. Yeah.
Yeah. So it came out in the same position in both spreads.
Yeah.
And like a year apart.
Interesting.
And I look at my life, and it was like still just the same disturbances.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense. This is a cool one to pull today. I'm glad it wasn't that one upside down. I'm like, I'm fucked.
No, it's perfect.
So yeah.
Okay, let's move
Yeah,
into
cool.
some vulnerability
Sure.
here. I mean, we kind of already have, but
Yeah.
okay, so when you stopped numbing yourself with drugs and really starting to feel again, what did that actually feel like in your body to like face feeling?
It's, this is a weird one for me because I put time, I can stop for
Mhm.
periods of time.
Mhm.
So I can just tell you that it's always uncomfortable.
Mhm.
In my body, it's anxious.
Mhm.
It's racing thoughts. It's restless irritability and
Mhm.
discontent. It's the best way I've ever heard it described. I'm like,
Mhm.
those three things together, like the world.
Mhm.
And I'm literally like, this is it. This is like
Mhm.
me. This is how I sit. And I'm fidgety now, but like even like worse. And
Mhm.
so it's just full of fear, full of dread, full of doubt,
Mhm.
full of self-hate,
Yeah.
full of, but the physical is like really uncontrolled spazziness,
Yeah.
just like electricity, like a live
Mhm.
wire inside of me, and I can't keep still, I can't not talk, I'm just like
Mhm.
this insane person.
Yeah.
And that's without drugs and alcohol, the best thing I've ever done. They,
Mhm. That's
I'm
right.
home,
Mhm.
chill, whatever.
Yeah.
Weed especially, I'm a big
Right.
weed guy.
Mhm.
Dab in the morning, dab it before a client
Mhm.
meeting, dab
That was a
after the
huge
client meeting.
identity of mine too. It was
Huge
like,
into all the
yeah.
strains, and I'm big
Yeah.
into the specifics. And I go to the the dispensaries in New York. And like,
Yeah.
oh man, I research it online and like big into all the devices.
Yeah.
And my tolerance is one that can do all that.
Mhm.
And it always did it for me, man. It always just like creatively too, like ooh.
Mhm.
So without it, I'm just like. Mhm.
Ooh, that brings up a good question too. Do you feel like there was some identity around that about being able to tap into your creative expression without weed?
You mean not being able to,
Like,
or
did you
being
have
able
a
to?
moment when you stopped using where it was like, I'm not going to be as creative. I'm not going to be able to tap in as much?
Well, yeah, part of my drug use looked like I took Vyvanse on a
Mhm.
daily basis. It was
Mhm.
prescribed to me for like 15 years. It's been prescribed to me since I was Ritalin and all since I was in the fourth grade. But I got back on it about like 15 years ago, maybe a
Mhm.
little longer. And I would take it regularly until I stopped and I started to abuse it, and I would
Mhm.
start to add more. And so that thing was always in me,
Mhm.
and this like amphetamine going,
Mhm.
and then the weed with that are
Mhm.
just like insane for the creativity. Yeah, the
Mhm.
mind, conceptual problem solving, like fucking laying it all out,
Yeah.
systemizing it. I mean, tweaker shit,
Mhm.
right? Plus weed.
Fellow tweaker here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you are. And that stuff was like absolute tool.
Mhm.
And acid on top of that to like
Yeah.
unlock the sixth dimension,
Mhm.
mushrooms for the emotions, and then I found the ketamine, and that
Mhm.
was just like escape the self.
Yeah.
And I used all of that very regularly towards the end. And so
Mhm.
what happened was is during COVID, I bought a sewing machine,
Mhm.
and I was taking the Vyvanse, smoking the weed, and I was taking like hits of this crazy acid that I got my hands on. And it was like very clean and pure, and I was like I could go out in the world on it.
Mhm.
Like I was like in the matrix, but like I could do it.
Yeah.
I could have this conversation with you right now. It would be cool as hell to and that's what I did. And my relationship with my partner was like that. I was on it all the time, and she didn't even know it.
Mhm.
Total dishonesty around that. But what I did was I bought a sewing machine. I just started ripping fabric and just
Mhm.
going insane, just
Mhm.
like making
Mhm.
stuff. And I didn't know what I was making. I had no idea. And I was really inspired by my friend Lydia, and I mentioned earlier, and also this designer Margaret Burton's unbelievable designer. She's a upcycler. She creates, and I always loved her work, and I had her make me a jacket and out of stuff in my closet, and it was like mine, and it's like
Mhm.
my little identity. And I started to like fantasize about all these like who this person was, and so I started to sew. It was
Mhm.
like this first time in my life I was just like, I'm just gonna do this. And I was hand cranking the stuff out, and I made this like giant, like crazy Hannibal Lecter like shot, or like t-shirts and jerseys and stuff, and I put it around. I thought it was like a scarf, and it was like heavy. Like, it was horrible, right? But I was excited that I made something that wasn't like brief oriented, client related or whatever. And all my friends are artists. And I was like, I'm just doing my own thing. No one can tell me what I'm going to do here. And my girl was really supportive of it. Rachel was like absolutely into it. She liked what I was doing, but I didn't know what they were. And I like made this thing and I left the bathroom and I folded it in half and I put it under my arm. And as I walked out of the bathroom, I looked and I was like, that looks like a bag. And I was like, oh, and I figured out that I could sew this together and that together and I can make a bag. And I just like, I make bags. And I started to make these things. And it was about like carry purpose and like be this expression. And they were wild. And I just started ripping these things together and making these. And I've never in my life called myself an artist until that point. I was like, this is what art is. Holy shit. And that was a big part of it. I was involved with that through weed and acid and not ketamine as much, but Vyvanse and amphetamines and MDMA was sprinkled in there, I'm sure. Like just, and it was just like, you know, and they look like it. You know, I'm proud of them. And they look like someone that's on acid would make some shit, you know? And I'm not trained in that. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like forcing it together. I'm buying like stuff to figure out how to, it was awesome. And I got sober. I felt like that died. It was real hard, but I still want to do it. So I set up all this stuff out here and I made a couple since being sober, but
I've seen them. They're awesome.
I haven't been able to like, I mean, I was a machine. I was like making like, I was constantly just, you know, just going crazy. And I'm really, really stoked on them. I have an idea where I'd want it to go. You know, there's like an idea, but I feel like I think what you're like, the question that I can answer, the question I'll answer is that like, it feel like I've not accepted that that's in me no matter what, drugs or alcohol.
Yes.
And so like, it comes out of my style. Sure, we can do that. I don't need drugs or alcohol for that. But the creating part of it, there's been the last year since the job, there's been a lot of holding me down through this like thing. And there's been a lot of plans and designs and a lot of like things. So when I'm sober, I'm like, I'm not activating that specific creative thing. And I feel like I can't really say that it's drugs and alcohol that make me a better craftsman in that way. I don't believe that.
What I would say is that it was shutting down the fear and doubt.
100%.
Right?
100.
That's what it is.
0. When I'm making, I'm like, and when I'm doing that stuff, people are like, "Oh, you should do that." I'm like, "Or not." You know, like, I'll just do this instead. And I'm literally like so free. I've never felt more free in my life than that moment when I was creating those things.
Yeah.
I had this like crazy thing, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And people were really into them. So I'd carry, not only that, like, I'd carry them around. People like, "What?" I get stopped all the time. And you're like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I call it Sherpa. I don't know. It's just like these bags I make." And I'm like, I'm like, "Yeah." You know, like,
inside you're like, "Yeah,
yeah, you like my shit." Yeah. You know? Oh, I don't know. It's like, what I'm just,
no big deal.
Their expressions. You know, and I've never sold them or anything. I always wanted them to be like a collaborative thing where like you would come and you pull something out of your closet. And what are you looking? I wanted to be like an emotional therapy thing almost. And I never thought about like people like, you should sell this in a store. I'm like, I'm so connected to them. Like, I don't want to get it. You know, I don't want to sell these things. And so I, you know, I'd like to get back to that. I bought a bunch of cool sewing machines that are just like staring at me. I made like 3. I think I made 2 or 3 since I've been sober. So it's not a, you know, I was doing like 1, 2 a week.
Well, that takes me back to what we were saying before we started, which was when I move, the universe follows, right?
Yeah.
And so like you have all these things in your life waiting for you to step into them and trusting that the unfolding is going to be trailing right behind you, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a matter of like just taking the first step, you know?
Yeah. And I believe that like that thing specifically, the Sherpa or whatever I'm calling it, is like, I'm down for that to happen. I really am. But I want it to be on a personal level with someone else, you know, like that I'm bringing in them into the conversation. I have one that I want to do for Louise. It's really cool, called the Shivering Denizen. It's basically like a hope. It's like a bag if you ever goes homeless again.
Yeah.
So he's
well, hopefully not.
no, but it's the point. Like
Yeah.
he's like that, you know. He's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah,
Dark
I want
and
that
yeah.
shit. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, make it so I can put rigs in it. I'm like, I have a piece. It's like, yeah, this would fit. And
Yeah.
I just that's the type of thing I want with
Yeah.
that. You know, I
Yeah.
want relationships.
Yeah.
You know, I want to create like that's why it's art then
Mhm.
to me because that's when I was creating it. It was just like first of all, I would like they're all like kind of somewhat conceptual, but I didn't really know where they would go.
Mhm.
I don't know where they would end or how they would finish or if they were ever even done.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them I took apart and like put into other things but there are some things that I'm feeling called to do and
Mhm.
that would use a little bit more of a structure, you
Mhm.
know, and a little bit some of the recovery stuff and also my graphic design stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm a little bit about that whole thing.
Mhm.
But that's something I'm looking at
Yeah.
activating. But yeah,
Love that.
it's fun. I mean, the thing about this stuff is like I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
I, I don't
Mhm.
know, and I've had to go walk through some mud this year to
Mhm.
feel like I'm gonna be all right.
Mhm. You're on the brink. I can feel it. I feel it
I
in my
appreciate that.
bones.
Yeah,
So, okay, you're obviously a man, right?
yeah,
You also work with a lot of men. You mentor a lot of
I
men.
do.
What do you think men are taught about how to feel? And are they taught to or are they taught to like fix and contain, like feel freely, you know?
It's an interesting question because, like, yeah, I don't know if it's applicable to me and how I was taught
Mhm.
or what I want to, how I want to move forward. But I think it's like I can only explain it through the ideals I hear from them
Sure.
that I don't necessarily align with. And
Yeah.
one of those, like what a real man is.
Yeah.
Like when we're doing inventory, it comes up
Yeah.
a lot. A
Yeah.
real man doesn't do this. A real man doesn't do that.
Mhm.
But I hear the word provider a lot. I'm like,
Mhm.
Really?
Mhm.
That's a lot of pressure, bro. Like, you
Yeah.
sure? Okay. Well, that's a character you can look at or
Mhm.
not. I think they're taught to like. It's really interesting. I think they're taught to like go
Mhm.
and not think really.
Mhm.
Just go.
Mhm.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Be your best self. And lately, especially in the social media sphere and
Mhm.
all the self-realization that's going on and all
Mhm.
that stuff, which is great.
Mhm.
But it adds to that narrative of like lock in, be who
Mhm.
you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, who is that though? And what do
Yeah.
you feel in that?
Mhm.
Like, and obviously I hear a lot of inventory, I listen to a lot of stuff, and I'm more surprised on some of the stuff I hear than around like their sexuality and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm more surprised on like what they're into in that part of their life because
Mhm.
judging from the way their belief system is set up, it doesn't necessarily always line
Align.
up to that.
Mhm.
So I encourage them to talk to me a lot about that and
Mhm.
explore that stuff. And like I have no judgments
Yeah.
and it's really beautiful watching them grow in that.
Mhm.
But a lot of them, it's built in the ideal of what a man is,
Mhm.
and um,
Well, and I think that's so interesting, right? Because there's this idea of being a provider, right? Which is like and I think what they're probably referring to is like on a material plane, right? I've got to be the one that provides this
protector though too,
protector too. But then
power.
here's what I struggle with, right? Or what I see is that because they're so out of touch with their own self that they don't know how to be a safe container, right?
Yeah,
They don't know how to be just create a safe space to not need to fix or change the woman, right? Or,
very common.
where it's like the kind of providing that I think most women, I speak for most women, is the kind of providing and protecting that we want is just to be like seen and acknowledged and um feel safe in that right expression and not feel like somebody's trying to fix or change that, but there's just that they're comfortable in that themselves, right? Like, oh, she's not okay, oh, this is coming up in her, right? Let's just hold space for it rather than changing it, right?
Yeah. Well, men generally are problem solvers.
Right.
They got to solve it.
It's in their nature.
It has to get to the end.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Right.
There's
Exactly.
and generally speaking,
Totally.
right? Like there's very little process.
Mhm.
The journey is the answer.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the getting to
Mhm.
the middle of it, the end of it is like fine, but like that's not the and that's not how, at least that's not how my sisters thought.
Mhm.
That's really not how my last relationship was.
Mhm.
And you know, and my thing about this though is I do have a lot of female friends in my life,
Mhm.
and this is something that's been brought to my attention.
Mhm.
That it's like, what is that all about though?
Mhm.
You know, and so like I think there's this like problem solving thing that men have, provider, protector, like doer.
Mhm.
I can't describe it any other
Yeah.
way. It's like and not all men, but out here more than I'm used to out than what I'm out eat a lot of different thing,
Yeah.
slightly different thing. There, everyone's career focused and like
Mhm.
on the grind, but like it's a lot of that. It comes up a lot, and it I've you know I I was in a 6-year relationship, took about a year off and blah 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 around, you know, as we
Mhm.
do. And I was back in New York, and I met Rachel, and I was in a 10-year relationship.
Mhm.
Then I got sober.
Mhm.
And I get sober, and I'm like, I don't know, I have
Mhm.
no idea.
Yeah.
And that part of my life has been, I've had some bumps in the road in that part of my
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not proud of everything that I've walked through in this last 3 years,
Sure.
but in that that comes with a different ideal of
Mhm.
who I am and like
Mhm.
what I'm about.
Yeah.
And am I safe space?
Mhm.
You know, am I what you just described?
Mhm.
I
Are
might
you?
not be, I think so,
Mhm.
but I don't think I have been for everybody.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that I've evaluated recently and a decent amount of work.
Mhm.
I'm finally like, you know, it's the longest I've been without like being in something real serious. That was actually our thing. We were
Mhm.
together as the thing.
Mhm.
I had kind of something early in a year in my sobriety, but after that, it hasn't really, nothing really has manifested in any sort of way that was like that. The
Mhm.
only thing I have to compare it to is like what a relationship looks like to me is what I was in for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, we lived together, we built a life together. Like this is a
Mhm.
thing. And, you know, and obviously I didn't show up completely well in that, but I don't have, and so in sobriety and this like new way of thinking and stuff, I fumbled around, and part of it's just like, am I, um, am I, how am I perceived?
Mhm.
Is my energy honest?
Mhm.
Is it, what does it come like? Because I'm capable of being friends with women. I have some friends that can't be friends with women.
Mhm.
Like, what? What
Mhm.
do you mean?
Mhm.
Like that's an unlock, dude. Like they're badass people in your life. Be friends with them because like you learn a lot
Mhm.
of stuff you don't realize. And my sisters taught me a lot. And I've had a lot of women friends in my
Mhm.
life, but I have dated a little bit, and it's come up.
Mhm.
It's come up like this is kind of weird to me that you're friendly with all these women.
Mhm.
Like I have friendships. What?
Mhm.
Well, I don't feel safe. So am I?
Right.
And that's really boils down to. And
Mhm.
I bumped into this a couple of times in the
Mhm.
last couple of years, which is just like, and it gets back to that motive. The first
Mhm.
half of the toolkit of self will keeps coming up:
Right.
kind, generous, self-sacrificing, and modest. Am I weaponizing those
Right.
things to get something?
Mhm.
It might not be sex,
Yeah.
but it might be something else.
Attention. Yeah.
Attention, so you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously it's something I've been evaluating a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we've had a conversation
Mhm.
in the last like 6 months about this.
Mhm.
It's like I didn't really heed it
Mhm.
like I should have, but it always like,
Always plants a seed,
but
right?
it stuck with me in a way that was like, that's a real friend right there.
Mm.
Like to me, because you know, you called me and you're like, hey, I have concerns. I have concerns, et cetera, et cetera. Be careful here.
Mhm.
And it was around another individual,
Mhm.
someone that I was considering dating.
Mhm.
And you knew this individual, and you like brought it to my attention. And it was like, yeah, but I'm a good guy.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and for about a week and a
Mhm.
half, I was like, I'm going to listen to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, a little tension, a little whatever comes in,
Sure.
a little like, hey, it can be casual, whatever, no pressure.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, fine, it's fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
But is it?
Mhm.
and so that's something that I might try to talk to my guys a lot about.
Yeah.
A lot of my guys are like really on fire, but they're like, they want to get in a relationship.
Oh, I mean, love and money are just like the
That's
two things that,
insanity.
and I don't think it's limited to alcoholics. I'm
No,
sorry. It is
no.
absolutely a human thing, right? With that comes some sort of power and some sort of connection and some sort of identity,
Yeah.
right? And that is like essentially what we're all like, we all have a spiritual malady, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Every human being has a spiritual malady. Now, some people have it worse than others.
We're just a little extreme.
Yeah. We tend to, like take it to a level where we need to numb that with drugs and alcohol. And then we have, the allergy to it. But I think back to the point, right? It's like, okay, so if you're a man who is just, drawn, and I don't think there's any mistake that you're drawn to women more because you really are kind of more in tune with your feminine energy than a lot of other men. So it makes sense to me. And the other part is, if I'm in relationship with another person, do I create safety for this person in relation to all these other women, right? Does my energy out there match what I'm saying in here with this person, right? Am I, when I'm out in public, am I making sure that there's reassurance there with this person, right? And that this person, everybody knows that this is my person and I'm going to create safety for her, right?
Yeah.
That's like the balance.
And that's the issue with me is that I get in these like things that aren't really talked. We're like, oh, we're just like, we're not, it's just a thing, whatever. Nothing's defined.
Right.
And we're
and
like,
it leaves room for me
we're
to
free
be,
and like whatever. And so like, but I see her disturbed over there.
Sure.
I'm like, fuck.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Why? Because I'm having a conversation about art with this person.
Right.
Like, oh, well, she doesn't talk to me about art. Maybe she like, oh, okay. I did the inventory. I see it clearly, right? Like, but like, it comes up more because it's this undefined space I live in. So what does that tell me? It tells me that like, stop living in this muddy space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's very little connection and growth in that.
And real intimacy.
If I'm interested in real intimacy,
right.
If that's the case, then what does it look like? And something I'm talking a lot with Homeboy about.
Yeah.
Which is like dude, he's hilarious. Steven, my sponsor, he's hilarious. He said this thing to me, and he's like, some of the things I say to you guys that you think is the craziest, funniest shit, I don't even think about. He said this thing to me. He's like, I'm like, what does it look like? I was asking him, like, what does it look like to like put space, like to get to know someone without being physical first?
Yeah.
This is like all my relationships are built on like, we in the sack, and we're now together. Like, moving in 3 months.
Yeah.
10-year relationship.
Yeah.
Hey, it works. And that's a rare one, but she's a special person. But I started talking to him, and he's like, well, ask questions, be interested in their answers, follow up with more questions. Like, is that? Yeah. What? He's like, be interested. Are you truly interested in getting to know her? And when you get to know her, is she someone that lines up?
Right.
Like, don't invite her in. And he said he drops this on me. He's like, don't bring her in your house to show her your sick beats or your cats. And it's like, because he's like, that's your cool space.
Right.
That's where you show off your thing.
Yeah.
And like, this is me. Look at me. Look at look at my exotic cat.
Yeah.
Like, he just hits me with this kind of stuff. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what it's like to get to know someone to actually on an intimate level. Like my saying sounds like the first line of it says friendship first. What does that mean? Friendship before love. Because I'm quick to like, this is, oh man, this
feels good.
Feels so good. So it must be love.
Yes.
And I'm gonna then bomb you. I don't even know you.
Yeah.
This is alcohol. This is how I am.
But that's where I'd say, and I'm making this, percentage up, but 70% of the population act on that impulse, right?
I see it. Yeah.
And then you end up in these relationships with people like 3 months later, and you're just like, what? I don't even like you. You know?
I don't even know you.
I don't even know you. I don't know you. I don't, whatever. I hear it so much, right? And, it's acting on that literal impulse. If we could all just step back and not come from this place of lack, like, if I don't act now, I'm going to lose, right? Yeah. Because whatever is supposed to be for us, there's not a thing in the world that's going to stand in between that.
Right.
There's just not, but we don't believe that in those moments.
That's true.
No,
absolutely. And so like, for me, it's like, being open to listen to this advice.
Mhm.
Like, actually, those are practical steps to
Yeah,
take. Like,
yeah.
don't do this, don't do this. And
Yeah.
he doesn't really give much of that. But in
Yeah.
this part,
Yeah.
'cause I have, he has maybe has some experience here
Mhm.
that I can learn from, right?
Yeah.
And something that I was sitting down with Katie, and she was talking to me about the same stuff.
Mhm.
I came
Yeah.
up with her, and it's just like, that's part of that growing up thing. What does
Mhm.
it mean to like really get to know someone? And then, by the way, physical attraction aside, if you get to know them and the little voice, that little thing, that back
Mhm.
there, that God thing going on, goes
Mhm.
like, it's not right for you, dude. Can
Then
you
do
bounce
that.
it?
Yes.
Can you activate that?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
driven
take
though.
the action, right?
I'm very driven, and I'm
Mhm.
learning that like what that looks like, what it's
Mhm.
being okay. This is also a part of my life beyond that card is speaking to.
Mhm. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot. Where like I'm kind of like coming to that place where I'm like okay with
Mhm.
being,
By yourself?
yeah,
Yeah, without
like
prospects.
wow, yeah, without prospects,
Yeah.
and that's new.
Oh man, and it's such a beautiful place to come to. Like it's so funny cuz I genuinely like love my own company. Like
I love that for you.
I genuinely am like
Do you sit in the chair and talk to yourself, or like?
I literally fantasize about getting home off work and
Yeah,
just being able to just like hang out with myself and like like I was a girl years ago who always needed, I was always posting selfies on Facebook. I was always, or on
yeah,
Instagram, whatever, like who was always like vowing for attention, always had some sort of like communication going with, I would say the other gender, but it wasn't always the other gender, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
still, some sort of attention, right? And to be somebody who just moves through the world who's like, I don't fucking need that. Like, I
yeah,
literally don't need it.
yeah.
It is such a strange
Hmm.
feeling.
Yeah, where did that at 10
Well, it's not
years?
strange anymore.
How
It's
long has
just
that been going on?
that's been, I mean, really, really, truly, probably for the last 3. Yeah.
Interesting. About almost as long as I've known you. I've known you in 2 years.
Yeah. So after not this past breakup, but that breakup before
Got
that,
it.
I had this massive awakening and coming home
Mm,
to myself. That's really where my like deep journey started. I started in therapy and I started really like going underneath the surface and asking myself the questions and learning how to self-regulate and nurture myself and take care of myself, right? And stop with the fucking bullshit, And that's okay. There's no judgment in that. It's
no,
all
I
part
get
of
it.
the journey,
No, I believe that too.
you know?
That's really cool. So like 3 years ago, 7 years. So 7 years of just running around with the head cut
Yo,
off.
yeah. I was running amok,
I
dude.
was talking to one of our friends
Uh-huh.
like that. She shared a story with me about her getting arrested in sobriety and
Uh-huh.
stuff, and I was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
like I'm being fired. It's right, whatever,
Yes.
and I feel blessed to be able to like I've surrounded one of my things, surround yourself with killers. I always have
Yeah.
like career wise,
Mhm.
design wise, all that stuff, but out here I've
Spiritual-wise.
managed to do that
Mhm.
spiritually, and some of them I don't like always what they say,
Yeah.
you know but that's that young boy being disturbed,
Mhm.
that like isn't growing up, and
Yes.
so that's kind of like what I'm that's the not one of my least favorite things to say is like seasons or eras, but that's
Mm.
really what it is. That's where I'm arriving. It's just like, okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna just take this for what it
Mhm.
is, and it's scary though.
Well, totally. And it was scary as fuck coming to that place. But what I will tell you is that the level of intimacy that you gain within yourself and this just creates this like sureness and certainty that like I'm gonna there without a doubt, I am going to end up with the perfect person, whoever that is, right?
Right.
I don't need to go prove myself. I don't need to go just go live your life and continue to build on this intimacy within yourself and you radiate out,
Yeah.
Like you just radiate out and whatever is for you moves towards you.
Right.
Really. That's just how it
I
is.
know, and I like that's so funny to say because I've always just like
Yeah.
seek,
Yeah.
express,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I'm finding a little bit more of a calm,
Mhm.
and I'm arriving there now. Like it's like you're
Well, even
seeing it.
sitting across from you now versus, even 7 months ago,
Yeah,
right? Like I definitely have since,
there's a lot
you
of
know.
like acceptance, a lot of love for self too, which is beautiful because that's not been my story at all. Zero, zilch.
Yeah.
Like since I was a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
I was no, you're not.
Yeah.
And that whole thing with my mom was like part of it. I think the amends process started it.
Yeah. Oh, tell us about that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Well,
Wild.
and on that note.
Okay. Well, I had on my inventory that I brought to my sponsor. It said, you know, I was broken. I needed to be fixed. Right. And that is this fourth grader that was sent to like after school programs behind a two-way mirror to problem solve and to put square pegs in round holes in the speed read because I didn't like school. I wasn't into it. It's like, what? It wasn't fun. It wasn't creative. It couldn't focus. Whatever, call it whatever DDDH, whatever you want. But it's just what it was on my reality.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt that. I felt it from my mom. I felt it from others that I wasn't like them, and I built this thing that I wasn't enough. So I'm in these after school programs being tested for all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna put on some medication, Ritalin and all the stuff, my focus pill at 4 p.m. And I had to go and sit and just was like, broken, needed to be fixed. Yeah. And at that point on, I built this narrative. That's what that was. I wasn't as smart as my sisters. They were really smart. I carried that into high school and would pour drugs and alcohol on it, is whatever. But this specific resentment that's on my inventory is like my mom put me in this thing. She put me on medication. I wasn't enough. It's just who I was. I wasn't this. She didn't just accept me for who I was. I was broken. I needed to be fixed. And I was stupid. And I wasn't a smart kid or whatever. I built this like kind of like push you down. It's a bad thing. I was that I didn't. And by the way, more than one time she told me the truth of what that story was, but I can't hear it.
Sure.
Because I built this truth and this is my truth. And this is what inventory did. I looked at it and I brought it to my sponsor and he's like, well, you know, your mom did the best she could. Sometimes we're troubled kids. And, you know, he didn't know the other side of it because I didn't either. So he gets what I bring him. And the resentment, the truth, the awakening in that moment, the seeing it from a different angle in that moment was helping me just understand that my mom was just trying to help me. That's true. She was. Even if I was broken and needed to be fixed, she was trying to help me. I didn't like that, you know, and so I went into the amends and I owed her a lot of amends. You know, 17-year-old, I never made amends. So from that drug use, all my dry sobriety, all the stuff, all the craziness as a teenager I made amends for all of it. I had a real thorough amends. And I got the last thing I said was, you know, and the last thing is always bothering me. It's just that thing in the fourth grade, man. Me seeing all those doctors and shit, all those psychiatrists and going to medicine and doing testing. Remember, I was like doing a speed reading and all the testing. And I'm telling her this in the amends. I'm like, you know, and I'm sorry that I held that against you so hard. That I was, you know, and this is how I worded it. I was like, that I wasn't as smart as Leslie and Joe, and I was, you know, I was testing, I was special needs or whatever. I kind of said something like that. She shut the whole amends with my mom. My mom is very self-seeking, very like me, like needs to be right, story steal, kind of narcissistic in a real weird way, right? Not in a negative way, but like just the force to be reckoned with. She didn't say a word the whole amends. She shut up the whole time. Like God was in the room, just like she just sat there and listened to me, like really intently. Never had a conversation like this with my mother, ever. It's crazy. I'm like emotional talking about it, but she sat there the whole time, and at the end, I told her that thing about the fourth grade and Ritalin and all this stuff, and I said, well, you know, I'd like you to have the chance to tell me how all this has made you feel. I'd like the opportunity that if I've left anything out or is anything incorrect. She's like, you know, this has been really cool.
Oh.
She's like, she's like, no, I feel seen. My mom said this. I was like, what, dude? I'm like, we're in the hospital, by the way. She's like, had a procedure, probably something more serious for most people, but for her, she walks through those things like she stubbed her toe. She had some procedure. She's in the hospital, so I'm doing this like she's in the hospital. She's not on anything. We had this time together. It's in Dallas. It's like maybe about a year ago. I think around this time, about a year ago. And This is really cool. I feel like you understand the harm you caused. Like, really? She's like, I feel like all the stuff you said is very accurate. And, but I want to talk about that thing you brought up at the end there. I was like, what is it? And she's like, it's not completely accurate. And I know we've told you this before, but I want you to hear it from my voice now. It's like we didn't know. This is the 80s. I didn't know what I was doing. This is my mom's telling me this. She's like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I'm seeing these like special doctors. They're doing these tests. Like, this is like the first time they're doing them. You were like a guinea pig for this stuff. We didn't know. But you weren't broken and you didn't need to get fixed. Let me just clear that up right now. I'm like, okay. Appreciate you saying that, Mom. Of course, Mom's going to say that. She's like, those tests weren't because you were testing low scores. And by the way, we've told you this before. She's like, you were hitting a genius creative problem solving, like auditory retention, communication skills, all these things. And it's why I would sit you into the Diana Cure's creative program in high school. It's why I was so into you going to New York and finding yourself. It's why I was like very into you always expressing yourself with your clothing. And she started to lay out this whole thing. She was like, she's laying this thing out. I'm like, wait. I'm like, I've held all this against my mom like for like 35 years. I've held this against my mom. I'm like, oh, it's been Mom. You've been like, if only you would see me, if only you would understand me, if only you would like get me, if only you would like let me do what I wanted to do, you would have gotten me. And the truth is, right then and there, I was like, oh shit, she did.
The whole time.
The whole fucking time. And I am who I am. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I am who I am because of her. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I like literally, my mom physically changed in front of me from like mom to mother. Like, just like, it was like the best way I can describe it. Have you seen Lord of the Rings? Maybe The Hobbit. I don't know which one, but Bilbo's like, Gandalf's with Bilbo and he's gonna set off on his journey to go see the elves. And the point of this is that Gandalf's like, I need the ring. And Bill was like, oh yeah, that ring. Oh yeah, whatever, that ring. Let me find it. And he like searched for the ring and he digs up in the thing and he's like, yeah, the ring. And Gandalf's like, Bilbo, I need the ring. And he's like, and he goes into the crazy, it's my ring, my precious. And he gets up real tall. He casts a spell or something. And he goes, Bilbo back. And then he gets up real tall and he like scares him a little bit. It's like my mom was like, she like got real like tall. She's like, don't you know who I've been the whole time? And I was like, holy shit. I was like, Mom, I don't know. I don't know if you understand what just happened. She's like, no, but we've told you. And I'm like, no, but it had to happen.
You weren't ready to hear
Yeah.
that.
And I walked out. I tell this way. I walked out of there. And as I walked out the door, she says, hey, thank you. This made my life. It's like, what? Like, it's like, oh, Mom, oh my God. And I left the door. I left and I had this thing. And I end this with this because it's so weird. I got to the elevator and I pushed the elevator button and I had this like, I was like my attitude and outlook upon life has just changed. Like completely. And I'm like, that's a promise. Holy fuck. Because I've been wrong.
Yep.
I've been misguided.
Yes.
Maybe not wrong. I've been misguided. And I got to the elevator and I pushed the button and I had this thought come into my mind. It was really vivid, creative concept thought. And it was like this white doorway in a desert. And it got flung open. And in the doorway is like the image of the God I knew in the 4th grade. Like this Jesus Christ looking figure, because that's who I was into then. And it's not really how I see him now, but it was really funny. And he's standing like my mom stands. My mom stands with like her feet cocked out like this, it's polio. So she like puts her hands on her hips. And he was standing there like my mom's craziest thing. And behind him is like all my friends that I don't really see their faces, but it's all my friends. And he goes, dude, are you gonna join us? And I'm like, fuck. And I literally was like, I started laughing and crying at the same time. I was like, holy shit. And it just left me with this thing. I walked out and I said, what else have I been wrong about? like literally, what else have I been wrong about? And it helped me like unlock this stuff we're talking about today.
So powerful.
It's like
so
through the
powerful.
amends, and that happened in inventory through the process of doing the right stuff, writing out, like getting into it, sitting needing the person. Like I didn't know that. It's like, oh, that's what this is about. I left there like, oh, that's what this is about. I made other amends. I made amends to my sisters, and but that one, like the lesson taught to me that day was like, powerful. Okay, are we ready to come in? And I decided at that point I would I called Steve, and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know. And he's like, that sounds like one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. So he's like, they're not all gonna go that way though, bro. I was on it. I was like, wow. And I looked at like, no, she says, this made my life. I'm at peace with whatever. And she had 15 years, man, and I felt like I have this weird, awesome opportunity to just like be with her finally, and she's awesome. We have a great relationship. So beautiful. It's really cool. So powerful. I mean, it really does just show us like it's sad and powerful because we spend so much of our life looking through a lens of something that's just so not real. Yeah. I did the same thing with my dad. I had this whole experience of who my dad was, and he abandoned me, and he didn't think I was important, and all this stuff. And through that process, it was shattered in a moment. Yeah. Shattered in a moment, and I realized that I was the one who didn't make him feel important. I was the one who robbed him of a relationship. I was the one by my own wrong thinking, That's exactly it too. She wasn't enough. Yeah. And like all that too. Like she was broken. Yes. And it's exactly how that's why the change, like, like I feel like she physically, like I can't even describe it. It was like, I've had a couple moments like that in my sobriety. One was when Stephen brought me page 53 about God, and I had like, I can do that. Yeah. And then the other one was that, and they're both like got sharper. But man, I look at her today and I'm just like, you're such a badass. Yeah. Like it's so cool. How lucky are we to be able to live this path? Like people go their entire life and don't have to do the work that we do, and we have to because our very life depends on it. And as a result, we get to live. I get to sit across from you and share tears and watch this experience of like stepping out of self-deception, and into truth and the power. It's an unlock like there's no other. I tell everyone this. I do believe that if you get awakened through the process of the 12 steps and get connected to some power, that you don't even understand. And everybody could benefit from the inventory whole process. World. Yes. The whole world. It's just like, and also just like the group that we have, the community, all that stuff. My biggest thing about it is that like I watch people get involved in the work and don't go all the way in. Yeah. The door gets flung open and they go, yeah, I don't know. That was a lot. Yeah. I'll deal with this on my own. And they have to stay sober through that. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, at 10, sitting here with 10 years, there is a deeper unlock, like 50,000 times more. Yeah. Like you go through a deep unlock and you're like, wow, I don't think it could get any better. And then it unlocks again and you're like, wow, I don't think it, and it just keeps going and going. I believe that. I surround myself with people that I see that in. Yeah. And I really am not under the delusion that I've arrived. No. It's something I try to tell my guys. It's like, this is not about where we get to. Like, and it happens really early with some of these really on fire guys that come out of treatment that are like, I have a guy right now that's like, oh my God, you're like me. We gotta watch it, dude. Yeah. We're gonna watch you. I'm gonna be a little bit more on you. I talked to him this morning. I was like, let me bring you some truth and this and that. And it's the first guy I'm sponsoring that I feel like I'm like, there's an opportunity to like find myself and help him through my experience. Yeah. Other than the other things that are really specific, but like really specific stuff. And it's just like, I feel like there's a level of, I watch it in a lot of people, and I watch it in other people that like have been around for a long time that like, we mentioned that we talked about this at some point where like, they don't really know themselves, but they know the work real well, or they like lock in mechanically to a spiritual process. They don't have I don't really know who they are, or maybe
Mhm.
they don't either, something like that. Like I see that a little bit too, but man, the people that are like coming
Yes.
alive, it's unreal.
Unreal. Yeah.
Unreal. And some of them where they've been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A friend of ours says that, the combined experience of, the people in the room would break the world. I firmly believe
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. Oh my God. It's so,
Yeah.
if your higher self like descended down right now, like the most whole, amazing, successful, abundant, joyful version of you, right?
Ooh.
Descended down right now, was sitting here, just like sat on this table next to us, looked you in the eye, what do you think it would tell you? What do you think he would what do you think he would tell you that you need to hear going into this next chapter, this death and rebirth?
Hmm. Wow. The cliches come to mind, but
It's
I
okay.
think he'd just say, "You have no fucking idea."
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, he'd go like, "You have no idea, dude. You have no idea." But I feel that stuff, man. When I make change and I grow and a little bit of pain comes up and I grow out of the pain. It's always from pain,
Always,
you know.
always from
And
pain.
I'm
Oh
like
my God.
I'm like crazy emotional thinking about it because it's just
Mhm.
like in the best way. It's like you have no dude. Not like it's gonna be okay.
No.
No, you just don't know. And that's
Mhm.
something that's like a bit of my spirit that like I
Mhm.
feel like like whatever, bro. Good,
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to this, watching this unfold, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
I'm excited about it, man.
Yes, I'm excited for you. I
Yeah,
really am.
it's been cool.
So tell us about this new project you have going
Oh
on.
shit. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been wanting, obviously I'm a graphic designer, so like I'm constantly like in the big book. When I'm in the big book and I'm at meetings, my friend, James Leeper,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite human
Mm.
beings to walk the earth, dude. Like we have a spirit together. We get along.
Mhm.
He's just like a couple months more sober than me, but I look at him sometimes I'm like, you're like 20 years more sober than me. He's just really amazing member of AA, big
Mhm.
into the traditions membership. But we're constantly pulling little things up. I go to the same meeting I do on Fridays, and it'll be something will pop up in the book, and it'll be like just a little line that Bill might have written or something like, last gaspers or something, and I'll look up and James will be like, ooh, we just relate. And so like I brought him up because I want to use my graphic design talents and these like weird thoughts that I have around like recovery, and some of
Mhm.
it's dark and
Mhm.
some of it's light and heart and full like rebirth stuff. But I want to do an apparel line, and I'm
Mm.
calling it Gaunt Prospector because it's like right around the
Yes.
lines that I like, and that's brought to me by a friend, and was originally going to do it with him, but I think it's just going to develop where it goes. I'm kind
Mm.
of kicking it off. The idea is that we're gonna make a bunch of really cool shit for recovery people that like don't. I just feel like there's a gap in the market right now to like a gap in our community that like lacks a bit of like dope shit to be stoked on that
I
like
love
says
it.
stuff that we all relate to. And I've worn a few of them around. Like
Yeah.
I have one that says like extreme example of self will
Yeah.
run riot, and on the back it's like no, he doesn't think so. But I have a bunch. Like I'll do some really cool stuff, and I'm gonna bring people in
Mhm.
and have them collaborate with me. Gordon's helping me with it a little bit from like a organization standpoint, but yeah, it's called Gaunt Prospector, and
I love
I
it.
think it's gonna be a bit of an apparel line around this new life that I'm
Mhm.
developing.
I
That
love
God's
it.
helping develop. Yeah, excited
So
for it.
can't wait.
Yeah,
How
that'll be,
fun.
and it's again, it's one of those things. Now it's on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm literally like we're meeting about it tomorrow, and
Yeah.
there's some really fun ones though. I'm
I can't
really
wait to see
excited
it.
to,
So fun.
and we're kind of sick, right? Like,
Totally. Yeah.
come up with some funny ones, and yeah, I've been writing them down for like 2 years,
Mhm.
and little things, little phrases. Some of them are quotes, some of them are things that you'll know, and some of them
Mhm.
are just like, yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah, little puns.
or just little mini stories that like kind of. My friend Nat said this thing in a meeting the other day. He was just talking about where he used to be, and the way he described it was this is how he described it. She's wearing cartoon pajamas, shotgun in the Camry. You know, and it's like it could be that on a shirt, you know, and you'd be like, I think I know what he's.
Yep.
You know, I think I've been there. You know, so
Yep.
some of it will be dark, and that's why Gaunt Prospector feels like the right thing. It's like we're always like come from that place. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah,
That's so fun.
Thank you for allowing me to talk about it here. It's cool.
Where can people who are listening find you?
I'm on Instagram mostly. That's just me and my outfits.
Mm-hmm.
But I have like 15 Instagram accounts
Yeah.
that no one knows about, that don't have any content on them. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna do that one day, and I grab the account. But my main account's there, like DM_ATX, and that's just like me, and my stories are silly. You saw the one I put up today, but like my stories are silly, and I just mainly post like me and my
creative expression.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably be doing a little bit more with that as I move this thing out the door a bit, but. And then, you know, I have a website. That's my work stuff. It's just davidmashburnett.me. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
You're the best. I'm really proud. I just want you to know I'm really proud of you. Aww. Like I think you like love. I just like I always think about you. I'm like I'll bump into a chick that like needs really good sponsorship. I'm like, oh, you got to get with Danielle's girls. Like it's got to be Danielle, Emily. Her sponsor Evelyn, I know she's awesome. Like I just hear all
my circle is just
I just hear this insane, amazing stuff about you guys, and obviously I know you really well. And I'm just so proud of you, man. Like I think it's so cool that you're doing this stuff and rocking and rolling, and like where you're going and the pain you walked through to get there. It's dope. You're a real big inspiration.
This is it, right? It's like getting to know, like now I know you on a deeper level, right? We've exchanged this like really cool, intimate experience, and like. That's what the Quarter Connection is about. You know, is just reminding us that we're like all really just walking each other home, you know?
I think it's dope. And I'm just so stoked for you.
Yes.
You know? So thanks so much for having me in. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All right. May the cord that connects us to one another and to source remind you that you are never alone, always guided, and always home. Until next time. All right. Dude, that was awesome.